Happy Monday, everyone. So glad to have you all here. Coming at us from all different places. We've got Amy with us from New Mexico. We miss you here in Oregon, Amy. And then our crew here locally as well. So glad to have you all here. This is Musketeer. If you have not met him, I know Kathleen up in Portland, super excited for some kitty spam. So here he is. And I'm Mikki, if you've not practiced with me before. Oh, on. That's my voice. I'll never get used to that. So tonight, before we get started in our practice, I'm going to recommend if you have a couple blocks in your arsenal of yoga tools at home, that you grab those blocks. If you have just one, lovely. If you have two, grab them both. And then I'm going to also recommend that you grab something snuggly for Shavasana. So if you have a favorite blanket, my yoga blanket's not super cozy, but it's what I had. But if you have a snuggly soft blanket or something to cover your eyes, I recommend grabbing that and just having that ready to go for that final relaxation this evening. If you do not have blocks, you might grab a couple books that are about the same size or some dumbbells, just something to kind of boost your hands on up with. I'm going to build them into practice tonight because I've heard from several of you that you want some ideas and some encouragement of how to use your blocks in your practice. So I'm going to give options for using them tonight just as some examples. All right. So happy Monday, Debbie. Glad that you're here. So let's get started on our backs tonight. The playlist is in the chat if you want some music this evening. It's also in the link for class. Musketeer, you're going to have to share, buddy. Oh, yeah. So we're going to come on down to our back this evening, and we're going to get started in a shape called constructive rest pose. So we're going to bend your knees, let your feet go wide, let your knees fall in on each other, like a little mountaintop. And then we're going to take your hands up toward the sky. Cross your arms like a big X, bend your elbows, and let your hands fall down around your outer shoulders. Let's take a big full breath in here. And a full, complete breath out. And I want you in these moments to invite yourself to slow down. Not slow, kind of checked out, slothful slowing down, but a very intentional, mindful connection. And in this slowing down, you might even invite in a pause. Or at the end of your inhale, you linger for a moment. And at the end of your exhale, you linger and pause for a moment. It doesn't need to be an extremely long pause, just that moment where you don't have to jump off into the next thing. And then we're going to take your hands up to the sky. Go ahead and uncross those arms. Let your palms turn to face each other. I'm really sorry, our yard crew just showed up. So if you hear some blowing in the background, it's our yard crew is super late today. The realities of teaching from home. So I want you to pretend that you've got a yoga block between your hands, something you're kind of holding in space, maybe a pumpkin, maybe your cat. And with that kind of imaginary hugging of their hands toward each other, we're just going to start to take those arms up toward the ground any amount. And just really listen to your shoulders. Be kind. When they say that's enough, don't push through. And let's take a couple really deep breaths here. And I want you to continue to imagine that you've got that thing held between your hands. Now, as you inhale this next time, let your belly fill up nice and full. And as you exhale, take the back of your ribs down into the floor and take your hands a little bit further away from your body. And then take your hands back up to the sky. We're going to recross your arms with the other arm closest to your chin. And let the hands fall down around the shoulders again. If you can't remember which arm was closest to your chin, don't worry about it. Just try one. And let's settle right back into that breath, those really full breaths in and out. Again, with that invitation to maybe pause. Pause when you're full of air. Pause for just a moment at the end of your exhale. And in these moments of pause in the space that you're gifting to yourself, just check in, ask yourself, how am I doing today? And what do I need today? And let the answers to those questions, even if you don't have words today, let the answers to those questions be a driving force for how you treat yourself and how you show up tonight on your mat. Once again, we're going to take your arms up to the sky. Palms will be facing each other like you're holding something between your hands. And let's slowly start to take those arms overhead once again. Listen to your shoulders. When it's enough, it's enough. They don't need to get anywhere near the ground. And this time, let's bring those feet to hip width. Let your knees separate from one another. Feet root down. Low back is heavy into the ground. And let the belly fill up as you breathe in. And as you exhale, let yourself hollow. Take those back ribs, draw them into the floor, and take your hands maybe an inch further away from your head. Let's take one more really full breath here. And then we're going to slowly bring your hands up toward the sky, and then hands down alongside the body. So arms alongside the body, hands kind of toward your feet. Let's go palms facing down. We're going to uncurl your shoulders into the ground. Press down into your feet and begin to lift your hips up away from the mat. Just nice and gentle here. It doesn't need to be a huge lift. Big full breath in. Full complete breath out. One more time, breathing into your belly, your low back. And as you exhale, let your hips come all the way down to the ground. We're going to crawl your legs out to straight. Take those arms up overhead one more time. And then as you exhale, let's bring your right knee into your nose. We're going to reach down, grab onto your shin or your thigh. Your nose can curl up toward the knee if you'd like, or you can keep your head on the ground. And then inhale, release the leg. Take your arms up overhead. Let's do that a couple times side to side. Exhale, left leg comes in, reach down, grab onto shin. Inhale, lengthen, release. One more time each side. Bring that right leg in and release. Left leg. And we're going to bring that right leg in one more time. This time we're going to linger and hold. Maybe roll that head up toward your knee for a moment. Pausing, lingering. And then we're going to keep everything as it is, but let your head come on back down to the ground. As you inhale, let's take your left leg up toward the sky. And exhale, lower that left leg down to hover just off the ground. Let's do that 2 more times there. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. One more time, lifting. And lowering. We'll let that left leg come all the way down to the ground. As the heel finds the floor, take your right leg out to meet it. Arms up overhead one more time. Just like we did when they had the legs bent. As you exhale, can you draw the back of your spine, the back of your ribs into the ground? Feel how that creates more length all the way up through the back of your shoulders, through the arms. And then left leg comes in. Again, we'll bring that leg in and pause. Maybe lift your head up toward the knee. And then let the head come on down, and 3 times with your breath, we'll lift and lower that right leg. Inhale, right leg lifts. And exhale, lower. 2 more times, lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Let that right heel come all the way down to the ground. Left leg releases next to your right. Final time, the longest stretch and reach of your body yet. And we'll bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a big hug. We're going to start to rock up and down your spine and make your way all the way up and over into your table pose. As you find your table, let's drop your belly, lift your heart, lift your head, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more time. Belly drops, heart and head lifts. As you exhale, we'll round into cat. We're going to pause and linger here for a moment. Roll up onto your fingertips. Let those palms dome, kind of like you've got cupcakes under your hands. You don't want to squish the frosting. Feel that connection of shins and top of the feet into the ground. And then flatten your palms, flatten your spine, and we'll take your right leg back behind you. Let's pause here for a breath. Find a nice inhale all the way back through that heel. And as you exhale, we're going to round your spine, bring your knee in towards your nose. You might kiss your knee. And then inhale, take that leg back. All right, we're going to do that same thing, but your right knee is going to head toward your right arm. It might or might not tap. Just give it a little touch and then lengthen back. We're going to do that same thing now to your left arm underneath the body. Right knee, left arm. Again, it might or might not touch. And then back you go. As that leg straightens back, we're going to cross it behind your left leg, put the toes on the ground, and look back over your left shoulder toward the foot. Big full breath into that whole right side of your waist. And then we'll bring that leg back into table. Inhale, drop the belly for cow pose. And exhale, round your spine for cat. Inhale into table. We'll take your left leg back. We're going to hold there for a whole breath, breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling all the way back through that heel. And then as you exhale, bring that leg in, round your spine. Inhale, kick the leg back. Left knee, left arm. Try to keep your 2 arms straight. Doesn't have to touch. Just head that direction. Inhale, take it back. And then underneath the body, left knee, right arm. And back. And this time as that leg straightens, we'll cross the leg all the way behind you. Put the toes on the ground outside your right leg. And let's look over your right shoulder toward that foot. Breathing deeply and fully into that left waist, left outer hip. And we'll take your left leg back behind you. Let the shin come on down to the ground for table. Welcome to our practice. I don't know who you are, 992F, but I'm glad you're here. Inhale, belly drops, cow pose, final time. And then tuck your toes under, hips up and back, downward facing dog. All right, as you find your down dog, let your head hang heavily between your arms. And let's take a little tail wag side to side. As you inhale this next time, we're going to roll up onto the tippy toes, let your heels lift. And then exhale, let your heels drop down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, rise up. And heels drop. One more time, rising up. And dropping down. Just easing ourselves into our bodies tonight. We'll take that right leg up toward the sky. And that right foot's going to step outside your right hand. So that might take you a couple steps to get it there. You might actually lift the ankle and bring it forward. Oh, hi, Chris. Glad you're here. And then this might be a time that you can put blocks underneath your hands. So if you've got those blocks, I'm going to build them in just so you can see. If you don't have them, then hands can stay flat on the ground or whatever you're using as blocks tonight. We're going to try to keep those arms really straight, regardless of blocks or no blocks. If your wrists are feeling tender this evening, I invite you to do fists. And then we're just going to start to bend that back knee. It might or might not tap the ground. Just let it come down. And then inhale, straighten that back leg. And all I want to do here is to create this great sense of power in that back leg. We'll bend with your exhale. Inhale, straighten. One more time, bend. And straighten. We're going to take that right leg back into your plank. If you added those blocks, you might just keep them because we're just going to simply take your hips up and back into your downward facing dog once again. Now, pro tip here with these blocks, if you're using them, actually make it easier to step forward and back. So if that's what you struggle with, you might invest in some blocks if you don't have them already. We're going to take your left leg up to the sky. Bring that left foot outside your left hand. Whatever you need to do to get it there. It doesn't need to be graceful. Let the arms get really active and straight. And then we'll bend that back knee any amount toward the ground. Inhale, let it straighten. 2 more times. Bend. And straighten. 1 more time. Bend. And straighten. All right, here we go. Back to downward facing dog. Always make these movements and shapes work for you. Feel free to skip anything you need to skip. And then as you find your down dog, this time we're going to roll up onto the tippy toes and just start to walk yourself forward. Bend your knees when you need to. Blocks can slide off of your mat if you've been using them. Let's give your knees a generous bend and grab opposite forearms or elbows. And just let yourself hang here, maybe sway a little side to side. And then bend your knees a little bit more. And let's roll up inch by inch by inch. All the way to standing. We'll uncross your arms, take your hands up to the sky. Big full breath here. Just let yourself pause and linger. Right? Sometimes it takes a moment in these shapes to start to feel their effect, to start to let your patterns of holding and tension from your day start to release. And then we'll let your palms come together overhead and exhale, hands down into your heart. If you're anywhere except the front of your mat, just go ahead and walk yourself forward. We'll start to move a little bit more here tonight. Inhale, hands go up. Exhale, hands come down through center. Let's fold. You can bend your knees any amount. Inhale, fingers on shins. Let's take that halfway lift, sliding the fingertips up toward your knees. Shoulders come onto your back body. And then exhale, we'll bow and fold. Inhale, root into your feet. Rise up, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart. One more time, just like that. A little half sun salutation to set our pacing, our rhythm this evening. Hands go up with your breath in, and we fold with your breath out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow forward. Rise up, reach up as you breathe in. And hands to heart as you breathe out. All right, we'll start the same way and we'll add on. Inhale, reaching toward the sky. And exhale, bow forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, we'll fold, step your left leg back. We're going to set those feet hip width apart, back heel, back knee is off the ground. We'll come up to your crescent lunge. Take a moment to let your feet get underneath you and support you, especially if you've been sitting at a desk all day. Start to wake these puppies up. And then let's root into your right big toe. Let that front leg straighten. As you exhale, we're going to bend your front knee, bring your hands to your heart, and tap left elbow onto your right thigh. And we're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, untwist, straighten the leg, reach up. Exhale, bend the knee, lean, and tap. I've said it before, but it's the cousin of the bend and snap. Inhale, straighten, reach up. Exhale, bend, and tap. This time as you come on up, we're going to drop your back heel, open your shoulders toward the long edge of your mat, coming into warrior 2. So front toes, front knee are pointing straight forward. Once you settle there, we're going to root into that right big toe again, straighten your front leg, take your hands to the sky. Exhale, bend the front knee, lower the arms. 2 more. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, bending and lowering. So this first time we go through this, there's going to be dynamic movement. The second time, we're going to hold the shapes a little bit longer. Let's keep that front knee bent, arms parallel to the ground. And then as you inhale, we're going to take your left hand down the back leg, right hand up. And exhale your hands down around your front foot. Back heel lifts. And let's step back into downward facing dog. So those of you that prefer to skip the vinyasas or are taking care of your shoulders, you might stay here for a few breaths. Or inhale, let's come forward to plank. We're going to do this a little differently tonight. We're going to put your knees down on the ground. And we're going to just ease ourselves into this. So we're going to start by bending those elbows a teeny tiny bit back. And then re-straighten your arms. We're going to do that a few times. Each time I'm going to invite you to bend the elbows just a tiny bit more. And come back up. And tonight I want you to focus on 2 things here. 1, where the weight shifts in your hand. So can you keep the entire palm flat on the ground? And 2, I want you to feel the activation of your upper back, kind of gliding your shoulders down the back and away from your ears. If you've ever done a lat pull down at the gym, it's that activation. Okay, let's do 1 more of these. That's going to take you all the way down to your belly. This pose is called chaturanga. We tend to just kind of blow through it because nobody really likes to work on it. So once you're on the belly, let's pop onto your fingertips right by your ribs. Those same cupcake hands, root into your feet. Feel the power of your legs and inhale. Let's lift up in just a little baby cobra. Feel the fullness of your breath in your belly. And instead of pushing down into your fingertips, let's gently pull back. And then let your forehead come on down. Flatten your hands. Let's push into your hands and knees. Come on up into your table and back into downward facing dog. So I'm going to add those blocks in just so you can kind of see how they would work in this practice. Tools for learning. All right, we're going to take your left leg up to the sky, blocks or no blocks. As you exhale, we're going to let your shoulders come over your wrists, bring your knee into your nose, just like we did in table earlier, but now we're not. Inhale, left foot to the sky. You've got 2 more of those. This time, let's go left knee, left arm. Again, it doesn't have to tap. Up and back. Left knee, right arm. Up and back. And then we'll step that left foot forward between your hands, as many steps as it takes. Let's come on up into your crescent lunge. Take a moment to let your feet get underneath you. And then we'll root into that left big toe, straighten your front leg. And then exhale, bend the front knee, hands to heart, right elbow taps, left thigh. Inhale, untwist, straighten, reach. 2 more, exhale into the twist. Inhale, lengthen, reach up. Last one. This time as you come up, we'll let that back heel come to the ground. We'll bend your front knee, opening into your warrior two. Shoulders open toward the long edge of your mat. Inhale, let's straighten your front leg. Reach your hands to the sky. Exhale, bend the front knee, lower the arms. 2 more. Straighten, reach up. Bend and lower. 1 more time. Straighten, reach. Bend and lower. We'll keep that front knee bent. Right hand down the back leg, left hand sweeps up and back. And we'll exhale your hands down around your front foot. And we'll step your right foot forward to meet your left. Now, if you're using those blocks, instead of sliding the fingers up the shins, you can always just keep your hands on the block. So inhale, halfway lift. Hands on shins or blocks, your choice. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. And let's come on up into chair. It's always just around the corner. Let's inhale, root down into your heels, straighten your legs, rise up. Exhale, sit back into your chair pose any amount. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. 1 more time, straighten. And bend. Let's keep your legs bent, staying in chair. 1 more breath. We're going to fold over your legs, let your hips go high, let your head go down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, we'll fold. We're going to step your right leg back first this time. Come on up into your crescent lunge. We're going to find ourselves into that twist. So hands come to prayer, right elbow down, left elbow up. You might hover, you might tap, you might latch. We're going to be here for a few breaths. Settle into your rhythm and maybe even invite yourself to not just physically pause, but to linger in the breath, finding that moment of pause when you're full, that moment of pause when you're empty. And then let's untwist. Come up, hands to the sky, straighten that front leg. Again, we're going to pause. Feel the power of both of your legs. That lengthening up from the back of the ribs, through the upper back, through your arms. And then we'll bend the front knee, lower your back heel, and open up, warrior two. Now, as we're here for a couple breaths, again, finding that moment to linger, that moment of pause. I want you to feel that breath, that width of your wingspan. And just like in our chaturanga work, I want you to feel tonight that activation of that kind of lower upper back that pulls the shoulders and the arms down the back. Let's keep that front knee bent. We'll reverse as you breathe in. And we'll bring your 2 hands down to floor or blocks as you breathe out. Let's step it back. Downward facing dog. Option to stay here. Option to come forward to plank. Again, we're going to put your knees down on the ground. Commit to that even amount of pressure through the palm of your hand. So we're trying not to roll to the outer wrist, which is really common as we do this work. Exhale, little bend of the elbows straight back. Inhale, push the ground away. We're going to be here for a few times, so you're in control of how deep you go each time. Obviously, the more you bend the elbows, the deeper you go, the harder it is. And what I want you just to be mindful of is that creeping of the shoulders toward the ears. And also now let's add an awareness of the rounding of the shoulders. So try to draw your shoulders back in space, back and down. Let's take this one all the way down to the floor. We'll pop onto your fingertips. If you're on blocks, it'll probably just be a float of your hands. It's a little much on fingertips. And find that little baby cobra. Active, active legs. Press into the tops of your feet. Let the forehead come on back down toward the ground. We're going to press into hands and knees. Come on up, table. And downward facing dog. As you find that down dog, let's take your right leg up toward the sky. Exhale, let that knee come in toward your nose, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, up and back. Right knee, right arm. Up and back. Remember, you don't have to tap the knee to the arm. Just head that direction. Right knee, left arm. Hand back. And foot between the hands. We'll come up. Crescent lunge. Once you're ready, hands to heart, we'll find your twist. Left elbow down, right elbow up. You can hover, tap, or latch. As you settle into each shape, just seeing if you can bring it back to the breath and cultivating that steadiness, that space. We'll go ahead and untwist. Let your front leg straighten. Take your hands to the sky. Feel the activation of both legs. And then we'll bend the front knee, ground that back heel, open up, warrior two. And again, we're going to linger and pause. Feeling those subtle actions, that subtle effort of your upper back to draw the shoulders down the back and to broaden out through your wings. We'll take your left hand down the back leg, right hand to the sky. Inhale. And exhale, hands come down. Floor or blocks around your front foot. We're going to step that back foot forward. Bend your knees. Come on up into chair. As you find your next inhale, let's root into your heels, straighten your legs, and let your hands come on down into your heart. We're going to shift into your right foot. Start to bend your left knee. Let that left knee go out to the side. We're coming into tree pose, so foot on ankle, calf, or thigh. Your choice. Hands can be at heart. They can be on hips. You can grow some creepy Halloween branches, or you can just take your two hands up to the sky. Speaking of Halloween, we have a live stream on Halloween. Seville's very excited about it. You can expect a costume. Finding those little moments of pause. Again, that doesn't have to be a huge, long pause or hold. Just linger when you're full of air. Linger at that point of full release. And then we'll bring your hands back to your heart and left foot to the ground. Let's linger here for a moment. You can close the eyes or drop the gaze. Hands can stay at heart or come down by your sides. Allowing yourself to just fully breathe in and out of this vessel, this body that we have. And then when you feel grounded enough, right? Trees need roots to grow tall. When you feel grounded enough, shift into that left foot. Bring your right knee up. Knee out to the right for tree pose. Again, ankle, calf, or thigh, your choice. Katir's going to rub against my leg. Very helpful, buddy. And then your hands go wherever feels really authentic for you in your tree pose. I don't know if you've ever seen those yoga cat calendars, but I kind of hope Musketeer busts out into tree pose really quick. Last couple breaths here. Even if you step out of your tree, just try to keep the breath really steady. That invitation with each and every breath to linger in your space. Bring that right knee forward, foot to the ground. Make sure you don't step on a cattail. Hi. It's basically tree pose. All right, back to the front of your mat, 2 hands to the sky. Exhale, let's fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And let's make your way back into downward facing dog. So if you would like to roll through that vinyasa to get there, step back to plank. Stay with me. If you just want to head straight to down dog, back you go. Knees up or down. One straight lower this time. Elbows point straight back as you come all the way down. Go ahead and untuck your feet. Press into the tops of those feet. Baby cobra. Maybe you start to lift up a little bit higher into full cobra. Back to the belly. And then back you go. Downward facing dog. Couple full breaths in your down dog. When you're ready, let's take your right leg up toward the sky. Option to stay here, right here, or as you exhale, bring your knee in toward your nose. Inhale, kick it up and back. Now we're going to take that right knee toward your right arm this time. Pause. Linger. Round your spine like cat. Push the ground away. And then up you go. Right foot to the sky. And right foot forward between your hands. Now we're going to come up into Crescent and then open into Warrior 2. Where we're headed, you might want to block if you're using blocks tonight. So maybe grab one of your blocks, put it in the big toe side, along the big toe side of your foot. Come up into Crescent. Ground your back heel, open up. Warrior 2. So we're going to reach that right hand way forward. And then let your right hand come down inside the foot on your block or on the floor. You'd be able to see my hand on my block if Musketeer wasn't in the way. But it's there. I want you to create that T shape with your arms. There you go. And then use again that upper back strength to guide and invite your shoulders down the back. So very often here we start to get that shoulders and neck and ear shape. Ugh. Draw them down. Option to take your eyes down toward the floor. Option to start to turn your head and look up toward that top hand. We're here for a few more breaths. If you want a little bit something different, not necessarily more, just different, maybe you root into that right big toe and straighten your right leg, coming into triangle pose. Final full breaths here. Let your gaze come back down toward the ground. Bend your front knee. Lift up. Warrior two. We'll reverse with your breath in. And then let your hands come down around your front foot with your breath out. We're going to lift that back heel off the ground. And we're going to wiggle your right foot out to the right. Let your right hand come inside the foot. So we did this very early on in our practice, really active lizard pose. So option this round to stay here. Option to take your right hand way forward, all the way to straight, on a block or on the floor, up to you. Option to stay there. Option to take both of your hands way forward. Those legs are going to have to pull effort and weight back as your two hands reach and lengthen forward. Hands can be on floor or blocks or whatever you're using as a block. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Just get nice and elongated. And then we'll walk your hands back under your shoulders. And bend that back knee all the way down to the floor. We're here for just a final couple breaths. You can stay just as you are. Those of you that it comes pretty easily to reach back with your right hand and grab the foot, you might add that in. If that is torture and a struggle and just constant straining for it, don't even bother tonight. Just keep it spacious. Wherever you're at, final full breath here. We're going to make our way back into downward facing dog, where you have the invitation to stay and be still for a few breaths, or inhale, come forward to plank. Knees up or down will lower to the belly. Inhale into the back bend of your choosing. Back to the belly as you're ready. And back to downward facing dog. When you're ready, we'll take your left leg up and back. Again, you have the invitation to stay here or exhale, knee into nose. Inhale, up and back. Knee to left arm as you exhale, and we're going to pause. Full breath in. Full breath out. Round your spine a little bit more. Push the ground away. Take that left foot up to the sky. And then step that left foot forward between your hands. If you're using a block tonight, place that block on the inside edge of your left foot. Big toe side, come on up. Crescent lunge. Ground your back heel. Open up. Warrior two. We're going to take your left hand, reach it way forward. Let the hand come down to block or floor. You also have the option of elbow on thigh. And we're going to take the T shape in the arms tonight. So just let that right arm go straight up toward the sky. And guide your shoulders down the back. That sense of shoulders drawing down, arms broadening out. Gaze can be down toward the floor, or you can start to turn your gaze up toward the ceiling. For me, as my head and eyes go up, that left shoulder likes to jut forward. So keep that left shoulder down and back. Option to stay here or begin to push into that left big toe and straighten your front leg. Even if it's hard, even if it's shaky, invite yourself to stay, to linger for just a couple more breaths. And then we're going to bend that front knee as your gaze comes down. Bring it up. Warrior two. We'll windmill your hands down around that front foot. Let your back heel lift. Wiggle that left hand in, left foot out. Active lizard is option one, hands on floor or blocks. And then if you want to take an arm forward, start with that left hand. Get that arm all the way straight. Let it be elongating. So you're pushing back through your right heel as much as you're reaching forward through that left hand. You can stay there. Or with the legs really foundationally firm and strong, take both hands forward. Elongate out of your hips, out of your low back. Let your head hang between your arms. And then let your hands come down underneath your shoulders. Back knee to the floor. Stay here, right here. Or left arm reaches back. Grab your foot. Try not to struggle. It might be stretchy pants. That's okay. Last full breath wherever you're at. And then let's take it back into downward facing dog. Invitation to be still, invitation to roll forward, plank. Chaturanga with your exhale. Inhale, cobra, or maybe upward facing dog. Back you go, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts as you breathe in. Knee comes forward as you breathe out. Inhale up and back. Maybe you stay here. Or one more time, right knee, left arm. We're going to pause. Full breath in. Try to keep both arms straight. Glide that right shoulder down the back. Up and back you go. Right leg to the sky. And we'll bring that foot forward between your hands. Let's step that back foot in just a tad. Maybe you use blocks. Maybe hands are flat on the ground. Let's straighten your front leg. Left hand's going to stay down on floor or block. Right hand is going to come on up toward the sky. Now, a couple options for this. To modify it, to make it a little less intense, bend your front knee. If you want a little bit more intensity with that front leg straight, let your back heel come on down to the ground. 3 versions of your standing twist here. And all 3 versions activate that upper back to glide the shoulders down the back and to broaden out through your wings. Exhale, let that right hand come back down to your block. Let that front knee bend. Let's step it back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg to the sky, just right to that second side. Exhale, knee to heart. Up and back, inhale. Across the body, left knee, right arm. We're going to pause, full breath in. Glide that left shoulder down the back. Full breath out. It's not easy. You got it. Up and back you go. And step that foot forward between your hands. Maybe step that back foot in a tiny bit. We're going to start to straighten the front leg. So if blocks or something like a block could be helpful, grab it. And then we're going to add your twist in here. So you know now the 3 options. You've got front knee bent, front leg straight, back heel on the ground. Those are your 3 sort of variations of a theme for the musicians out there. And any of those options, right hand stays down, left hand to the sky. Now, that right shoulder likes to jut forward and up. Glide it down, 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 the back. Left hand comes down. Final, step it back, downward facing dog. And from your down dog, if you want one more vinyasa, this is the moment to take it. As you find that down dog, let's take your feet nice and wide as the mat, maybe some of you even off the mat, and put a small bend into your knees as you walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Grab your opposite arms. Maybe you sway a little side to side. Maybe you're ready to be still. Let's spin your heels slightly in, toes slightly out. You're going to soften your knees, start to bend as you sit down, maybe pausing for a moment in your squat. Some of you, I know this pose feels magical for, and for others of you, you're like, get me out. So if you're the get me out of here person, just sit down. We'll be there with you in a moment. And then when you're ready, down you go. We're going to take our legs into a wide V. You define wide. And let's take your hands behind your hips, not so much that you're slouching into them, but just that you've got a little guide of uprightness. Let yourself settle into your breath here and into the process, because it is a process of reconnecting to the ground. A process of settling into stillness. A process of inviting yourself to linger here, right here. Option to stay upright for a few more breaths. Option to take your hands and walk them forward. Sort of like that active, elongated lizard lunge we did. I want your sit bones, your hips to root down into the ground like they're super glued there. They're not moving anytime soon. And then your hands are not just kind of extending the arms, but the hands are helping the entire torso to elongate. And we'll walk your hands back in. Bring your hands beneath your knees. Help those knees bend. Bring those legs together. And then let's bring your 2 blocks down with you if you have them. If you just have one, bring it. I'm going to give an option for blockless as well. But in an effort to kind of show some ways that blocks can, I honestly think, make your practice more enjoyable, I'm going to build them into our bridge today. So as you come on down to your back, if you don't have blocks, well, all of us, blocks or no blocks, you're going to set your feet hip width apart, knees bent. And let's take one round without the blocks, even if you have them. So similar to what we did as we got started tonight, let's reach your fingers toward your heels. Let those palms press into the ground. And let's start to press down into your feet. Lift your hips. Let your shoulders melt down into the ground. And then with your next exhale, let your hips come on down. All right, so if you don't have blocks tonight, I'm going to invite you to come on up actively like that for one more round. If you do have a block or blocks, You're going to come up and slide that block or blocks on its low or medium height underneath the shelf of your pelvis. So bony shelf, not the arch of your low back, but kind of that flat part right about the tailbone. And just let those hips settle there. Again, if you don't have blocks, come up into that active version. Keep the hips elevated, rooting into the ground with your feet. With or without the blocks, let your shoulders melt down into the ground. And let your breath be full in the belly. You come down if you're in the active version whenever you're ready. And just let those knees windshield wiper side to side. If you're up on a block or blocks, just stay for a moment or two longer. This is a good one at the end of a long day at a desk to just stay in with those blocks for a couple minutes. But when you're ready, we'll press into your feet. Lift your hips enough that you can slide those blocks out. Keep them close by if you have them. I'll add them in one more time. But as those hips come down, let your knees do a little sway side to side. And then we're going to take your arms out into a T shape. One of the times your knees go to the right, let your knees just completely fall over toward the right. Just allowing all of the various segments and pieces of you to collapse, to melt here, to just get really soft. And then bring your knees back up and drop them to the left. And hopefully all of the movement we did, all of the shapes, all of the internal work that those shapes provided has created this moment here where you feel like you just want to linger for a bit. Doesn't always work, but hopefully you get a little sense of wanting to soften into this moment. We're going to bring our legs back to center. If you grabbed some fluffy things at the beginning of your practice, now would be the time to put that blanket on, to cover your eyes if you want. I'm going to throw these blocks underneath my knees for a Shavasana option that's really lovely and delightful. Soles of the feet together, knees open with the blocks underneath the thighs to support those legs. And I know how hard it is at home to actually make time for this. There's all the temptations. Brian is cooking dinner upstairs. I can smell it. It smells so good. All of the temptations. But invite yourself, if you can, to linger here for these last couple minutes. Right, this is the time and the space that's really about nurturing you. It's all about nurturing you, but this is really where that magic happens. However you are today, whatever you needed from your practice, whatever you need in this moment, be here with yourself and for yourself, holding space. And within each and every breath, invite yourself to pause, to linger, to have space to just be. If you have found a space here that you just want to be in a little longer, it's the beauty of a home practice. You can stay as long as you need and as long as you want. But when you're ready, let's take a full breath in to the entirety that is you, and a full releasing breath out. And as you feel ready, let the breath begin to return to a steady rhythm. Let your body start to find some small movements again. Be gradual, be slow with yourself as you little by little ease your way up toward a comfortable seat. As you find that seat, let your palms come together in front of your heart. I'm just talking in this time that you gave yourself this evening or whenever you're taking this practice with you into your breath, into the cells of your body, into your very being, as a gift to yourself and to everyone you connect with along the way. Thank you all so much for practicing together this evening. Namaste. Thank you all so very much. I hope you got at least a little bit of what you needed this evening. Keep taking care of yourself this week. I hope it's a good one. If you have any questions or have any requests for future practices, feel free to reach out. I'm teaching the live stream again on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So if you have any requests for that practice, feel free to send me a message on social media or an email. Thank you, Kathleen. It was really lovely to have you here. I'm glad you got a musketeer sighting. For everyone, if thank you, Karen. Glad you were here with us. Makes me feel good to know you're with us. For all of you, I think most of you know this at this point, but the donation information is in the description of class, Venmo and PayPal. Thank you all for your generosity. Oh, Amanda, I saw you were signed up for class tonight. I'm glad you finally got to take a class with me. Lori, those blocks were for you. I'm sorry to hear about your wrist. If you need any other ideas, feel free to let me know at a class. We can chat about it. I've got lots of ideas for that. So thank you all so very much. Amy, I miss you so much. I've been watching all of your house updates and progress on Facebook, and I'm sure you're very sore. But it looks like you're conquering all sorts of things. It was good to have you here with us. I miss you. And Chris, good to have you too. All right, everyone. I'm going to start making my way toward the screen and shutting it down, but know that I appreciate each and every one of you. Lizard Debbie. All right, everyone. Have a great week. Mwah.